Alright, we got our first match here with somebody. I'm messing with my audio stats. Palo de Viseur. So we're running the same list again. We're trying to get Kaitos out to explain the incredible synergy of this card, but you know, we're struggling. We keep a good hand here. We have basically a free lands into a mana dork, into a Niv. We have removal for monocolored, which should be most things we'd be facing in this match, I'd hope. Our opponent opens with Concealing Curtains. We drop a Trial. Opponent plays a Hollow Fountain tap, so I'm thinking this is kind of an Esper control matchup thing here. So ultimately I decide I'm going to hold back. Running out of Paradise Druid doesn't get me anywhere, and I want to see if they try to, yeah, they do duress. So I burn my one interactive spell to get rid of their Concealing Curtain. Ideally I was going to use it in response to them attempting to flip it, but they didn't go for it. So I run out the Paradise Druid they know about, and I know they've got a Niv Mizzet coming. So they drop a Thief of Sanity. We draw an Edgar, so we run out a Niv while their mana's down. Reload! We hit a Wandering Mind, Growth Spiral, and Drown in the Loch, very solid cards. And we now get the Salty Rope, which is crazy to me because our opponent looked at our hand, knew this was coming, and didn't keep up interaction or didn't have interaction. So we get to play the game now of, oh, I hope this guy quits so I can save my rank. I am being unnecessary mean here. He could have connection issues, maybe. We'll find out. But yeah, ultimately we're playing in ranked, we're in the upper end of gold and we're trying to dig our way through. One feature I want Wizards to add desperately to this client. Could somebody please tell them to add a similar thing to Modo where we have the ban button? If I run into an opponent like this who just intentionally burns out the rope, I want to ban them and never run into them again. They're roping, I'm not really bothered. I run out of Celestis for the heck of it and swing in with Niv. Ultimately, I then make the hardest decision I've got to make in this entire matchup with a salty little quitter. What emote do I spam as they die? Of course, it's a tear up between Pinch of Salt Oko or Mwah, Kissy Kiss Oku. You know, they could have timed out, so we should really, I think, send them the Kissy Kiss Oku just to say, oh, I hope you're okay, Mwah, get better. Yep, so yeah, we just spam our emotes here because that's all we gotta wait for. Honestly, this hand was great. It would have been great to play out a full match with it and see how things are, but yep, we're just waiting now. We're gonna hit him with a Kissy Oko at the end. I can't wait for Wilds of Eldraine. I want Oko to come back. I think he'll be nerfed to heck. There's his kiss. Goodbye. So, a boring start to the match, but I'm keeping that in because I want to show that you do run into these online, and I really want there to be a way to ban them because I don't want to run into that player again. Even if they did disconnect, I don't want to run into a player with an unreliable connection. It's like running into a lag spike in a fighting game. It sucks. Next match we have Dewey Decimal Tendency. We win the flip again. Keep a good hand here that can run into a Growth Spiral, into a Supreme Verdict if we need it against aggro, into a Niv Mizzet for the reload. My opponent is also a Yorion deck, so I'm thinking it could be, at this point, the Enigmatic Incarnation deck I've run into before. They lead on Fable, so I don't get much information from this. I choose to immediately just go for Growth Spiral, just in case they have shenanigans. We'll get a Triome down because that's going to be a tap land no matter what. They open red-blue, which is interesting, so I choose to run out of Wandering Mind. They have something because Arena holds priority for them. And we flip a Wandering Mind, and ultimately we grab the Fable of the Mirrorbreaker. So I'm thinking it's either they have counter magic, they run out of white source, which makes me think Jeskai. So I'm thinking this could be Jeskai Fire's deck. They run out their own Fable of the Mirror Breaker here. So I decide I'm going to run out a Niv Mizzet here on curve. Get a reload in and see what we can find. Only 2 cards.
Reload!
Do swing in, and here's where I get punished. So, they are not an Enigmatic Fires deck. I'll wait till they reveal it here. They are in fact a Transmogrify deck. They hit the Agent of Treachery and grab our Niv, so now we're forced to pop the Supreme Verdict. There's no point in attacking because we're not going to get this Wandering Mind through. They're just going to block. Now I decide to hold up interaction here because if they flip the Saga and attempt to Transmogrify again, I want to exile it in response. They know about the Vanishing Verse here, but they don't know I drew a second one. So, end step, we're going to burn it here, see if they have interaction as a test. They do. They fire off a Make disappear. Now I choose to run out of Fable to make it look like I'm trying to just equal up the board here. I want them to go for the Transmogrify if they're holding one. They cycle a Shark Typhoon with no token. They hit a tap land, and in response they attempt to Transmogrify, so we surprise them with our second Vanishing Verse. We now get rid of our Mana Dork and our board wipe. That's good. Tyrant Scorn here is big news because it can score us removal for a token. And we find a Kaito. I'm going to count that as a Kaito win because us hitting a Kaito made them concede. Right, we need to get interaction here, so we need counter spells and hand disruption. They're not going to deploy tokens too much, so I'm going to get rid of the Supreme Verdict because everything they could steal from us is bigger than the Supreme Verdict. And then I make a decision on what to cut last. I choose to go down a couple of Mana Dorks here. Unlike our last game, I'm going to hold on to these Kaitos because I want to actually play with this card. Alright, we have an absurdly good hand here because we can run out an early Leyline Binding in response to a Transmogrify, or we can go for the Wandering Mind to dig for answers. We have all of our basic land types covered with these lands. Second Leyline Binding is perfect. So I play this and I let it come in untapped to make them think we could have another Vanishing Verse. They go for a Birth of Meletus. That gets them a Plains. Next turn we'll get them a token. So we decide to cut off their token here. Fire off a Leyline, get rid of Birth. We drew a Kaito, which is awesome. So I decide there's no one mana thing I can think of in one instant speed makes them a token, so I go for the Wandering Mind. Opponent drops their land, puts Urine into hand. I have a long back and forth and I think to myself, I'm going to show off the interaction with Kaito here because there's no way they can make a 1 mana token that I know of. So I've run out my Kaito. Go for drawing a card. Swing in Wandering Mind. Trigger Kaito static. Bounce the Wandering Mind back to draw another card later. Make a drone, just 4 blocks. Our opponent draws and they concede, so that can be the Kaito win for the video. We move up to gold 1. We only got a quick snip of Kaito's abilities there, but as you can see he could really run away with that just every other turn, using Wandering Mind to dig, using Yorion to blink our board, using Niv to reload. I mean, I've been very impressed with the card, and his +1 ability to lock creatures down is really growing on me as an underrated ability. We'll get another match in here to clear our dailies, or most of them. We got the dreaded attack daily. We have our name against Unpronounceable. They have a lightning bolt, so it could be aggro, I'm thinking. So I play my tap hand first. And true to form, our Lightning Bolt sleeve opponent runs out Faces of Kumano. So we're going to run out of Paradise Druid here. Our goal is Paradise Druid can't be killed unless we tap it. So we're going to hold back and see what we can do. We might trade it with something if I have to, but ultimately I'm looking to force my opponent to use unnecessary amounts of burn. They run out of Kari Zev, so this is more of a medium red than a straight up red deck wins. Right, they flip. Now, Kari Zev with the 1/1 counter is bigger than we can deal with the Deafening Clarion. So I run out Leyline to remove her from the equation. But also, I want them to think I don't have any efficient board wipes. I choose to take the hit here. I could trade for the Faces, but I want this Niv Mizzet out, because 6 power and toughness is hard for a burn deck to deal with. They do get a light up a stage and find a Stomp and a land. So the odds of our Paradise Druid surviving are practically zilch. However, we do have all 5 colors between us. So let's get that reload in. I've changed the reload effect to actually come from the Niv Mizzet animation now.
Reload!
Makes me chuckle. Right, we grab an Edgar. Edgar is going to be a powerhouse against Mono Red, if it comes down to it. What I'm hoping will happen here is they stomp the Paradise Druid, or shock it, or do anything to it, because it will be less burn going to our face. Instead, our opponent just drops a land and chooses to attack. I choose not to block here, because they could just have double burn spell kill than a Mizzet, and I think a 6/6 lifelink swing is way more important to me. They run out a Raging Phrastodon and drop a Play with Fire to kill the Paradise Druid, so now shields are down. Let's Clarion to clear their board and get lifelink, swing in for 6. Huge life swing, we go back up to 19. Opponent activates Den of the Bugbear and moves in. We're down to 15. We hit our 5th land drop. So I choose to run out our first Fable of the Mirror Breaker. This way we can hold up a Vanishing Verse if they attempt to reanimate the Den of the Bugbear again. They concede. We had the edge in that one. Alright, lifelink. Our boy Omnath comes in. We gotta go down the Kaitos, I'm afraid, and bring in Portable Holes. Sadly, we got our Kaito win, so in my defense, this is okay. Now it's just a case of what else do we cut here. I'm thinking Drown the Lock, because most of the value of burn decks and insane fast decks comes from their prowess creatures, so by the time we would resolve that, we might already be dead. And Tyrant Scorn is way more efficient. Match 2, we have a pretty slow hand, but we do have a board wipe for their creatures, so I'm interested to try it out. They lead with the Swift Sphere. We drop a Triumph. We get another Shockland here, so we could run out a Paradise Druid if we need to get it down quickly. Fortunately, I choose another Triome because I want to limit the amount of shocking I have to do. However, in hindsight, it might have been better just to get Kari Zev killed. So I go for the Clarion here, hoping that they don't have 2 1-mana spells to save the Swift Spear. Thankfully they don't. But in their end step, they do have Play with Fire, so we are down to 10. Our opponent runs out a second Kari Zev. I shock in here, and I go for a Vanishing Verse into a Paradise Druid. So we got a blocker for the Hasty Threat. They're only on 2 lands, so we should be okay to stabilize here. They would need a very good draw sequence to tip the scales in their favor. Opponent's thinking. Taking a long time thinking. I was pretty sure we didn't have a double salty quit. No, they do play a land, okay. Right, they've hit their third land now, so we'll see what they drop from here. Swift Spear. And Lightning Strike directly to us. I ultimately block here. I don't want to go down to 3 if I can help it. We hit another Paradise Druid, so I drop the Paradise Druid here. And pass. They have 1 card in hand. Well, 2 with the draw. So we have a blocker for the Swift Spear. We just have to dodge a couple of burn spells. Monastery goes in. I choose to block here because if they choose to try and burn us, I could Assassin's Trophy in response. Right, Assassin's Trophy the Raging Frostodon so that we don't get pinged for our creatures. I choose here to go with Fable of the Mirror Breaker to just get to the looting phase as fast as possible. They strike us down to 2, so they Lightning Strike and hit 2 lands off the light up the stage. So we are dead to any burn spell here. We need to draw any kind of life gain or counter magic. We don't find it. We do have answers to pretty much everything they could play here, unless it's a direct burn spell. They hit light up the stage. They hit Burning Hands, which kills our Niv. That's good to know for the future. Alright, we flip our Saga. We have blockers, we have everything. We can stabilize. Niv just has to hit us. Anything that could gain us life. I choose to do the attack first to see if we can maybe force them to do something, but they don't. We have free open mana if we can find anything. They use Burning Hands to kill Niv, which is fine. We have Edgar, which is a long way round to Link eventually. We just had to... Nope, they top deck the burn spell. The exact spell to kill us, so we're going to game 3. I consider bringing in the vetoes, maybe, I don't know, take them out. I'll bring back the drown, because they seem to be more... I'm not sure. Ultimately go down a board wipe. One thing with board wipe, when Mono Red's haste creatures is if we're using a 4-mana board wipe, we've either won the game or lost the game. This hand is great for us, so we'll drop a Jetmir's Garden into Portable Hole against whatever threat they use on their side. Land into the Kamano faces, whatever his name is. Portable Hole that immediately so they don't get any value out of it. So it's basically 1 mana, 1 damage, Spike Field Hazard. We pick up the blue so we can Growth Spiral to burn through our Triomes here. We get Edgar. Edgar is huge. Right. Growth Spiral. We hit Omnath. That's even more perfect. That's 2 solid answers that will get us out of this mess, hopefully. We get stomped in the end step down to 17. They have another Faces, which is problematic because if they flip that, Edgar is going to pretty much get destroyed. So we choose to run out Edgar here. I'm going to hold the land drop because the 4 life from Omnath is way more important. I'm hoping they burn their spells to kill Edgar. Instead they go to our face, putting us to 14. So their creatures enter with more counters. And they have Hazaret, which comes in as an indestructible 6/5, so sorry Edgar, but you're going to sleep for a bit. We start gaining our lifelinkers, which is huge. They're tapped out, so now's the time to run out Omnath. We drop a land, gain 4 life, back up to 18. Right. They drop a Torbrand, which puts us in a bad position. So I chump Hazaret, because he doesn't have trample, and take the etchings of Kimono. Right. Now, we gain 4 more life, back up to 19. Leyline Binding the Hazaret is one of the few things that answer it. We then go for Tyrant Scorn. We kill the etchings of Kimono because of its ability to kill Edgar permanently. And our ability here to just make Edgar, well, a life-linking powerhouse or blocking powerhouse is fine. They finally use a Lightning Strike to kill our Edgar. They swing in, we'll chump a 1/1 here, gain 1 life, go back to our starting life total. We hit the third counter and our boy Edgar comes back. I choose to attack with Edgar here, which is a tad aggressive, but they do use their thing to kill it, flipping him back over, which is great for us because we get more lifelinkers. We run out of Wandering Mind, we hit a Vanishing Verse, immediately get rid of Torbran, and it's pretty much insurmountable from here. They drop their Bone Crusher. Edgar keeps pumping out our lifelinkers. And I think this game is just slipping away from them. We go in the air for 2. Honestly, I'm not too bothered about the Bone Crusher. I've got 1/1 lifelinkers to feed to it all day. They use Spikefield Hazard and then quit the game. So we did get a Kaito match in the end. Pretty solid. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the gameplay.